Stevie Nicks. You won't believe what happened next. The candles throw lazy halos as she sinks into a velvet couch, lace at her wrists, silver on her fingers, that famous rasp curling out like a secret. She doesn't rush. She never has. I always wanted to leave something sacred behind, she murmurs, half smile, half spell. And he was beautiful. The interviewer leans in, already bracing for detours and fireworks. You've sung with legends, loved a few, and written the kind of songs that make people blush, they say. Be honest, who really tempted you? She laughs, low and dangerous. Honey, I was never the girl next door. I was the girl backstage. Temptation was part of the set list. She ticks the air as if counting stars. 6 men who still make my pulse do the wrong things for the right reasons. Some I sang with, some I dreamed about. All of them pure voltage. She tips forward like she's about to whisper a spell. These are the songs I never recorded. David Bowie. Say his name and the room changes temperature, she says, eyes going soft, like she's watching a reel only she can see. I met him in the late 70s. LA was too small for all that stardust. He slid through a party in a white suit, like he was made of future tense half shadow, half starlight. No cheesy lines, no swagger, just those eyes that turned conversation into a dare. We ended up outside with the city humming and smoke curling in the air. He said, "Isn't music the safest way to get naked in public?" And I thought, there it is, everything I've ever done. They didn't kiss. They didn't need to. With him, the wanting was the performance. Wild and calm at the same time, like standing on a ledge and trusting he knew the step you couldn't see. Prince, now, that man didn't enter rooms. He caused brownouts, she says, grin sliding toward trouble. He was 5 foot something with more voltage than a Fregnage. Thunderhead. I wrote "Stand Back" after hearing Little Red Corvette and called him like, "You sparked this want to play?" Hours later, he shows up in heels and eyeliner, nods once, and turns seduction into sound. No chit-chat, just fingers on keys and a groove that made grammar optional. He'd play a lazy riff and say something like, "There's thunder in your voice." One more line like that, and I'd forget my own name. She tilts her head, remembering the way the air bent around him. He didn't seduce. He existed. And suddenly, you were rethinking your entire operating system. If we'd crossed that line, baby, studios would have blown their fuses. Tom Petty. She exhales and the room gets quiet. Tom was the great "what if," she says, voice dipping into something tender. No glitter, no fuss, just that Florida drawl and a rebel heartbeat. When we cut "Stop Draggin' My Heart Around," it wasn't acting. Every harmony felt like an argument we secretly wanted to lose. He wasn't a chaser. He was a North Star. We'd meet eyes between takes, and the noise fell away, even with the band at full tilt. She smiles, almost despite herself. He called me little sister, sweet and maddening at once, because some nights the look in his eyes suggested a whole different chorus. They never broke the rule, but the line hummed like a neon sign. Maybe that's why the music worked. The tension wasn't ugly. It was the spark that keeps a room lit. Don Henley. The smile she gives next is private, like she's stealing a moment back from time. Don had eagle eyes steady, assessing, impossible to bluff, she says, confident, without noise. We wrote, we argued, we forgave each other in chords. That's how leather and lace happened, lived first, written second. People saw the perfectionist. I saw the listener. He'd wait until you were done, like your sentence mattered more than the clock. Their seasons were quick and hot, lightning that knows it won't linger. I'd walk into the studio and think, here we go again, and there we went. Sometimes love isn't a forever. It's the chorus it leaves behind. Would she change it? Not a chance. Maybe I'd have stayed 5 minutes longer just to see if there was one more verse. Joe Walsh. A flash of mischief brightens her face. Joe was chaos with a grin, and underneath it, a surprising sweetness, she says, tapping the arm of the couch like she's marking time. He'd make a guitar laugh, and then make it pray in the same song. With him, nights got elastic silliness tumbling into soul. Studio takes melting into road trip confessions. He could pull a melody out of thin air and hand it to you like a dare. The temptation wasn't flashy, it was gravitational. He reminded me that being wild and being kind can live in the same body. That's rarer than people think. Some connections arrive like fireworks. This one felt like lightning striking the same place twice on purpose. Lindsay Buckingham. She says his name like an invocation. Lindsay was the beginning and the end. Love and chaos braided so tight you could make a rope out of it. They fought, sure, then turned around and sang harmonies so intimate they felt illegal. He'd hit a chord. I'd answer with a line. The room would go perfectly still. That wasn't just arrangement, that was foreplay disguised as 4/4. He had a look, too. The one that said every lyric had his name on it even when it didn't. I swore I hated him sometimes. She laughs, shaking her head. But if he'd reached out, I'd have stepped right back into the fire. They wrote about breaking up and then performed it like a slow-motion fall back in. You don't get over a man like Lindsay. You learn to live with the echo. Now, if you're counting, you see the pattern. Not just faces or voices, but energy. Men who shifted the air pressure when they walked in. She wasn't the girl next door, and never tried to be. She was the girl who knew the backstage map by heart, and could find the song hiding behind your heartbeat. Some of these connections never crossed the obvious line, she says, eyes glinting, because the wanting was louder than the having, and sometimes that's the only way to keep the spell intact. She toys with a chain at her throat, like she's rewinding time. I wrote about heartbreak, magic, lust, but these 6, they were the unwritten tracks. Maybe that's why they still glow. That's the story. The backstage map, the near misses, the harmonies that said more than a confession ever could. If this little seance lit you up, don't ghost it now. Drop a like, share it with the friend who still believes in rock and ruin, and hit subscribe so you're here the next time we open the door and let the candlelight talk.